Before we start the video, I want to mention that I unfortunately had to initialize my PlayStation 4 due to a extremely rare bug that I encountered, the safe mode loop bug. Basically, I really was stuck in safe mode and I tried many ways to fix it, but the only thing that can fix that issue is obviously initializing my PlayStation. So, I can play on my PlayStation again, but at a cost of pretty much losing almost all of my progress on my games, considering that most of my progress are back, all thanks to PlayStation Plus save datas. Anyways, enough short story, let's get right into the video. So, Dungeons and Dragons and Dead by Daylight. What do I think about the chapter? Honestly, I think chapter's pretty good. I think they did a pretty good job with this chapter. So, the first thing I'm going to talk about is obviously the new characters, the perks, and I'll go ahead and go on about the freaking, new changes and stuff they did. So, first things first, we're going to talk about Vecna himself, the new killer. For what I see in gameplay in the PTB, he was kind of weak, but kind of strong at the same time. However, because of those buffs they gave him for live, he feels a lot more fun to play as now. And he's pretty strong on certain scenarios, but he's also pretty fun to play as well. I played a few games of Vecna, and I enjoy him already. His powers are, some are, good, and then there's one that's just kind of eh. So let's talk about his powers. He's got 4 powers. His first one is flight. Basically, you fly and you get like a speed boost for like a few seconds. You can fly over pallets or windows. So he's got a bit of a high skill ceiling, pretty much. And then we got his next power, which is Mage Hand. Mage Hand, basically you can use it to open up a pallet or keep a pallet blocked from being used. This is also really useful for certain scenarios as well. This ability punishes pallet campers, and you even use it to open the pallet back up as soon as Survivor drops it. Especially with the certain green add-on that you can run on him, by the way, which makes this a lot easier to use. Then we got Fight of the Dam, which is pretty much his most power out of the other powers. You summon skeletons and then they fly towards the location that you aimed at. But they're very easy to avoid. You can just crouch and you're good. But it is fun. It is satisfying to get them hit still with the skeletons, at least. What's his last ability? Oh yeah. He can shoot this orb. Now the survivors won't be able to see the orb until it contacts with them, unless they got the gloves or boots that pretty much can reveal the orb. But that's only if they're lucky enough to get it. Now, basically the orb, what it does is that it just reveals, the survivor's location with killer instincts when they come in contact with it, and it dispels them. What the spell does is that it doesn't really do anything. It just makes it so you can't use your magical items and stuff. Because when it comes to Vecna, there'll be these magical chests that spawn around the map. When you open them, it'll either give you things. It'll roll dice for you, kind of in Dungeons and Dragons, obviously. You get a 1 mimic, and you gotta survive the mimic. And what else? Oh yeah, and then there's when you get a certain lesser number, you'll get an item pretty much. If you get a bit of a higher number, you'll get basically you'll get a few of the gloves or the boots. Um, there's either gloves or boots that will reveal your location when you use Fly the Dam, or there's ones that basically do the same thing except you're using different spells as Vegna. So very interesting gameplay for the Survivor side. I like that. I like what they did there. Um, what's next? Oh yeah. When you roll a 20, you'll either get one of the two Vegna items. You'll either get Vegna's hand or Vegna's eye. Now Vegna's eye, what that does is that you rush into a locker and hop out of the locker, and you'll be invisible, which means the killer cannot see you for a certain amount of time. However, the downside is basically you are injured and you're broken for 30 seconds. Then there's the hand of Vegna, where basically you do the same thing with the locker, but instead of being invisible, you really teleport to a different locker. So you can really like teleport away from the killer when they're chasing you. Well, Vegna specifically. But yeah, you can really like it's pretty overpowered. And when you can combine the two items together, by the way, it makes it really strong pretty much. Obviously the same downside as well. You become injured, and of course you are broken for 30 seconds. Oh, and both these items do reveal your killer instinct to the killer too. That's really all I gotta say about Vegna. Now we got and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't really use all of his add-ons, but some of his add-ons are pretty good. I do the Vorpal Braid or whatever it is called, the one where Mage Hand breaks the pallet. It's alright. But I think there's add-ons I prefer to use more often than just the Eerie add-on, really. I mean, Mage Hand's a lot better to use now, so you don't really need that add-on anymore. Um, Next up is the new Survivor, the Bard. And I'm not gonna really say much, because, it's just a Survivor, like, there's nothing new about it. But, Bard, from Dungeons and Dragons, obviously. Now, the coolest thing about the Bard is that the Bard basically has the same thing as the Legion. You know how, like, Legion, where you could be a male or a female? You could do the same thing with the Bard. You could be a female or a male. So that's one thing I could say, I guess. Perks. Perks are next. Let's go with Vegna's first. And I forgot their names. So, the first perk I'm going to mention is... And I'm going to say this. All these free perks are pretty unique, because they do synergize well with other perks. Let's go with this first perk. Again, I don't remember the names of these perks. So, the first perk I'm going to talk about is the one where basically if an item is depleted and survivors in a certain meter range of it, they'll have their auras revealed. And if a survivor picks up the item, I think they become oblivious, I believe. And oblivious can be useful pretty much. So, that perk synergizes well with Franklin's. So that's good. Then we got his next perk, which basically what that next perk of his does is... What does it do? I'm trying to remember. Oh yeah. If a crow gets scared by a survivor, I think, within 32 meters of you, the killer, the survivor will become exhausted. So that synergized well with Spies of the Shadows, pretty much. Finally, a perk that synergizes with a freaking perk that nobody really fucking uses. Finally. We got a crow perk, finally. Then we got his last perk, which... Basically what that one does is that your base vault speed is pretty much increased by 25%. However, the downside is your stuns and your blindness, when you get blinded by a flashbang or flashlight, last longer. So basically you can synergize that with other vaulting perks. Like you can pair it with like freaking bamboozle and all that. And I did try that perk out with the other vaulting speed perks as well with other killers. I tried that with Unknown with his one purple add-on where you use his teleport, you get vault speed and shit for a certain amount of time. It's not that it's alright on Unknown really, but it's not that overpowered. However, when I tried that, that perk with the other vault speed perks with Xenomorph, with Self-Destruct Bolt, yeah, really pulls off. Okay, so that was Vegas perks. Now we're going to talk about the Bard's perks. Now, the first perk I'm going to mention is obviously the one perk that a lot of people are going on about. Bardaric Inspiration, whatever it's called. I'm sorry if I butchered it. Like I said, I don't fucking remember the names of any of these new perks. But what does it do is that you basically stand still, you hit the action button, you roll a dice, and your character would just start playing guitar. However, rolling the dice, basically that means something. When you get a 1, your character will just scream and nothing happens. And I think you get a 2 or a little bit higher when you basically get a skill check on a generator, the gen will get 1 progress. And I believe, what else? I think 14 to 19 gives you 2 bonus gen progression when you get a skill check. 20 basically is the same thing, but it gives you 3 bonus progression on a generator if you succeed on a skill check. So basically, this is like a gen speed perk pretty much, but it's more luck based pretty much. Like, if you get like a 1, nothing happens. And if you get like somewhat of an ent number, you'll get like some bonus. You get a decent number, you'll get like decent bonus. If you get like a 20, then you're just gonna, speed through that gen like crazy. That perk by itself is actually pretty good. But I swear to you, this perk is going to be so overpowered when you pair it with other gen speed perks. So definitely be aware of more gen rushers out there, killer mains. Alright, the Bard's next perk. What it does is that when you stand still for like 6 seconds, I think. Well, it's 4 seconds, I believe. I don't know. When you stand still for like a small amount of time, it reveals, auras of certain things. So it reveals the killer's aura, chest aura, and other stuff. It's basically Insidious, but for Survivor, pretty much. So basically, it's another hider or stealth perk, pretty much. So you can hide somewhere once you hear the terror radius, and then you'll know what the killer is because the perk. So distortion players are definitely going to freaking use that perk once they figure out how to use it properly, because, oh dear God, that's definitely going to cause more issues. I don't know. And then we got the Bard's last perk, which basically, I have no fucking clue how it works, because when I was using it, I was confused at first, but basically how it works is that when you complete 50% of a generator, it'll activate, and when you press an action button while near a generator, you'll summon like a clone of yourself, and it basically looks like that, the clone will actually look like you doing the generator. So this is pretty much a funny perk, really, to troll like killers pretty much. It's hilarious. That's all I'm really going to say. Now, we get to the important parts. The changes. So let's go with the killer changes first. Chucky. I think Chucky is actually a lot better to play as, actually. Yeah, you can only scamper when you use your slice and dice, but when they decrease the cooldown with his power, he feels a lot more better to play. People are saying that Chucky sucks now because of his, his buff and nerf, but I honestly think Chucky is still pretty good. Because I'm pretty decent with Chucky Slice and Dice anyway, so like, that's not really a bad issue to me at all. I think Chucky is pretty good still. I don't know. I think he's still fun to play. What's next? Deathslinger. I know they gave Deathslinger like small buffs. I honestly can't really tell. I can't really tell the buffs they gave to Deathslinger. I know they buffed him, but I can't even tell. I can't really say much about Deathslinger because I can't tell. Leatherface. Yes, my boy Leatherface. He got buffs that actually made him feel less frustrating to play, and I can actually tell by that. So they definitely did good with Bubba buffs. That good job, behavior. Good job. Um, they nerfed a lot of the slowdown, but I didn't really use them. I mean, I only used pain res. That's really it. But honestly, I honestly think the nerfs to like the slowdown perks didn't really do much. Really, like they're still useful. Really, I don't know why people are saying that they're weaker and stuff now. They're still useful. I don't know. They didn't really nerf them that bad, so I don't get why people still say that. Oh, these perks suck now. Like no, they can still be useful. All right, now the changes to both of Blight's Eerie add-ons. Now, I think it's the Compound 33 add-on I'm going to be talking about. You know, the one, basically what that one does now, I believe. I don't know, I can't tell. But I know one of the Eerie add-ons, now they nerf both of them. But one of them increases your turn rate and your rush duration for like, I think both of them's 11%. And you get 5 rushes still. So you can pair that add-on with like, you can pair that with like Alchemist Ring, or you can pair that with one of the turn rate add-ons. So it's pretty decent when you, I mean it's decent by itself, but like it's pretty strong when you pair with like either Alchemist Ring or the fucking turn rate add-ons really. Um Then we got the other Eerie add-on, which basically is the same thing, you know, look angle, rush speed. The add-on is actually still pretty good. You can pair with like other speed add-ons and you'll still be fast as fuck. You know, except you're at 3 rushes now, but it's still pretty good. Like you can still pair, like you can pair it with like, you know, the green add-on, like either Blighted Crow or Blighted Rat, whatever's your choice. Or you can pair it with Alchemist Ring. Still, probably still as well with Alchemist Ring anyway. Now we got the buff to Weaving Spiders. Honestly, I don't know. I think Weaving Spiders before was, yeah, it was kind of, you know, a long process to get it working. But making it 1 minute to use now, but making it so it takes 1 minute just to get the perk to work now for the whole, like, invocation thing, it's like, Weaving Spiders kind of feels a little stronger now. Like, I'm not shitting you. I really used Weaving Spiders one time, well, 2 times actually. The first game, it didn't really go too well, but the second game, that was a massive difference. As soon as I used Weaving Spiders, gems were fucking popping, for sure. Well, at first. But, you know, the game kind of slowed down, but we just managed to finish the gems pretty much. Because, like, the gems just started going faster now, all because of Weaving Spiders. I don't know. I think I think people are going to run Weaving Spiders more often, because, you know, gen rushers. So Weaving Spiders is definitely stronger now, that's for sure. Yeah, right. Last thing I need to talk about before we end this video, the new map. I love the new map. I think it's beautiful looking. That's all I'm going to say. Alright, everyone. That's all I got to say for this video. Goodbye.